Hello, tavern goers. Did you miss me? I missed me. Previously in our tale, Laura and Curtis awkwardly exchanged pleasantries. Martha and York discussed their concerns regarding the state of affairs, and Lem and Beck continued growing their friendship. After getting a night's rest with only a mild interruption, the party snuck into the Cragmaw Castle via secret entrance. They successfully subdued some guards before leading the surprise assault on King Grohl, his pet wolf, and a mysterious drow. The fight leaned heavily in favor of the party thanks to the support of York's super buffs that he broke combat with, leaving them victorious in the end. They took the drow prisoner, only to discover she wasn't as she seemed. But one question remains. Where's Jaal been this whole time?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Awful Good. I'm your adorable DM, Lynn Andrews. Playing with us is Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary Russell, and I am playing Laura, a level 3 half-elf druid.
Next up is Rob.
I'm Rob. I'm playing York, a level 3 half-elf bard.
After that is Jackson.
I'm Jackson. I'm playing a level 27 Doomslayer. No, wait, that's the other game. I'm playing a level 3 fighter named Curtis.
Woo! And Brian.
I am playing Beck Skullcrush, a level 2 fighter, level 1 barbarian, because I'm a pain in the butt.
Well, that's true.
And last but not... Sorry. And last but not least is Dave.
Hey there, I'm David. I'm playing Jaal Eladin, who is a Tiefling Ranger, level 3.
Woo!
Welcome back, Dave.
Yay!
Yay! Dave's with us. Now, you would think that we would start off with them discovering what's more is going on with this doppelganger, but instead, we're actually going to go back in time a couple days before and find out what Jaal has been up to.
Oh no.
So, Jaal, you guys had your whole, come back from the hideout, and then you tried to look for Liana, the blonde elven lady you had a lovely time with.
Mm-hmm.
She was nowhere to be found. You decided to go to sleep, whatever, got up the next morning, had breakfast with everyone as they made plans to take on the Cragmaw Castle. And then you kind of wandered around with them for a little bit as, they went to the town master hall and stuff. And as you were kind of sitting outside the town master hall, you saw Liana. You saw her off in a distance by a building, and she kind of waved at you and tried to wave you over. You decided to go over because nothing else was happening. As you walked off for that, York, you saw him leave in the direction and saw the blonde elven woman, waving him on. Mm-hmm. And you put two and two together. You chose not to tell the group this. Jaal, you walked over to the building she was near, and you guys kind of stole away behind the building, and she gave she embraced you and gave you a kiss and told you that she missed you last night. You both exchanged pleasantries for a while, but you noticed that she seemed a little off, like she was on the lookout for something.
Mm-hmm.
And just as you decided to mention something, your vision started to blur. And you started to feel dizzy. And you stumble back across the building, bracing yourself, and you drop to one knee, and just everything is getting worse. And you feel like you're swirling in darkness, and you fall to the ground, and you're laying on your back. And the last thing you see is Liana standing over you, and she says, "That took longer than expected," before you succumb to the darkness.
Oh no.
You awake. Your hands are bound behind you. Your head is throbbing. You can't see anything. You take it you probably have a hood over your head. And the only thing that seems peculiar to you is there's a strong smell of damp earth.
Okay.
You Do you say anything?
Am I gagged? I was about to ask. Like,
You're not gagged.
just hooded. Yeah. Okay.
You're
So-
you're positioned in a way that just your arms are bound behind your back, and you have a hood on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just kind of shake my head groggily and kind of get a grasp of the situation. I'm like, man, it's that time at the pole dancing griffin all over again.
Do you say that? Do you say that out loud?
Totally.
You hear off to your left. You hear a deep chuckling as you say that. And what was the name that you said of the?
The pole dancing griffin.
So you hear a deep chuckling and you hear a lower voice and goes, "Well, everyone has to experience that, once in a while in their life."
Can we do it with less drugs and more like untying me? That would be great.
You hear a sigh. He goes, "So, are you complaining about your accommodations? I was hoping you would find them agreeable."
Okay, pause a second here. So I question. Could I take
Okay.
advantage of my new primeval awareness in this moment and kind of like get my bearings of my situation? Obviously, I still can't see things.
What's the primeval awareness?
Primeval awareness. You can use your action and spend one ranger spell slot to focus your awareness on the region around you. For 1 minute per level of the spell slot you expend, you can sense whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of you: aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. This does not reveal the location of these creatures nor the number of them. So it would kind of like just be my Jedi mind sense probe, like kind of what's in here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean you can do that if you want.
Okay.
That's not something you have to roll for, right? It's just
No, not really. I mean, if you want, I can do the card thing in the chat.
no, it's okay.
But I pretty much read it. So, okay. So what do I find out?
There doesn't seem to be anyone of those descriptions. You can tell that you can tell like kind of the space you're in seems small. You don't know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can feel that you're on essentially a dirt floor.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no. You don't sense any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead.
Okay. So it's just this one person, as far as I know, talking.
As far as you know, you have it's a male voice, a deep male voice that's talking to you. So he said, I'm disappointed you didn't find your accommodations agreeable.
Well, the last time I was tied up, feather pillows were involved, so.
Well, we can't always get what we want, can we?
But if I try sometimes, I could get out of this bag, maybe.
Well, perhaps if you help me, then I will help you.
Yes, I'm in such a wonderful bargaining position. What exactly do you want?
Well, I do wish we could have met on some better terms, but let's cut to the chase. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Depending on your answers, I may or may not kill you.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me before we get started?
Pretty much no point until I get more information about what you're getting at.
Who hired you?
Ah, great, this again. Nobody hired me. I'm just another asshole that enjoys a good time.
That's your new bio on the website. That's the best.
Done.
Sorry, that's just.
It's okay.
That was great. My writing pencils.
Dave for the one-liners. He pauses for a minute. He goes, Why do you think you're in this position that you're in right now?
Well, either somebody's looking to collect a debt I left along the way, or maybe I just ticked somebody off. It's really hard. You're going to have to get more specific.
You, what languages do you speak again?
I sprachen the common, the elvish, the gnomish, and the infernal, and the lizard folk, because they're my other...
So, you hear in Elvish, he says something in Elvish, and you hear a female voice respond. And so he says to her, he goes, "Are you sure you got the right person?"
Do I recognize the female voice?
It sounds familiar.
Uh-huh.
You hear her respond, "He was with them. He was with her. I saw them."
Lily, I swear to God.
So, he's like, okay. So well, you can't see this. He turns back to you. And he goes, "Well, I'm not here to collect on anything, but that's good to know. You might be more valuable than I thought you were."
Mm-hmm.
Who hired you for the group that you're with?
As far as I know, I just kind of, well, I guess it technically would. I just don't practically remember at the moment.
Hey, that's legit. I mean,
What was her name?
Drug, technically. I mean, you're not.
That's true.
Still very clear-headed, so.
That's true. I mean, didn't we technically finish the delivery job, like, technically?
Technically.
Yeah,
yes.
you were hired by Gundren Rockseeker to escort supplies as kind of like a testing trial period for something else that he was hoping to hire you guys for. And then
as far as I know, we don't have that new job. Things have been a little crazy, and
you guys have been trying to find Gundren, and that's what like you guys ended up going to the hideout and stuff like that because you guys got leads.
Okay. Well, I most recently finished a job for a guy named Gungeon. What was it? Rockseeker. Seriously, who has that name? Why is he? Does he just stare at rocks all day? Does he walk along the beach collecting the pretty ones? I don't understand. Anyways.
Did you say that out loud? Or
totally. That guy.
You hear... You get like a slight... It doesn't hurt, but you get kind of like a slight thunk on the head.
Oh, that's a mistake.
And he goes, "I need you to focus."
Did I get hurt from that thunk?
No.
Like in any way? Dang it. Nope. I could set him on fire if he did. Actually, no, I can't. My hands are tied anyways. I could almost.
He goes, "No, I know that that's a ruse for what's really going on. Who hired you?"
Well, if you want more info than that, you're going to be in for a long night because I have no clue.
He gets up close to you, like, you still can't see who it is, but you can tell just because his voice is getting louder, and you can kind of feel the air of the breath.
Mm-hmm.
His breath doesn't smell bad, actually. What do you know about the human woman that's with you?
The human woman that's still with us. Wait, you mean the old lady who can hold her liquor?
You hear him say something to the female voice, and in Elven again, he goes, he's like, "What was the name that she's using now?" And she says Martha, and she just says it in common, and so he goes,
"Yeah, that's the one."
Goes by Martha.
Okay.
Is she the one that hired you?
She did a fair amount of negotiating for the transaction.
Who hired you to take out the red brands?
Take out the red brands? Nobody. Those guys just crossed us.
Who approached you to work for the Hand?
The Hand. Trying to remember what I actually know about the Hand, and I don't think it was much.
You know nothing. You don't know what he's talking about.
That's what I thought. So, look, I don't know who these Hand people are, but if you want to discuss the Foot Clan, we can do that.
Wait, what's the Foot Clan?
Ninja Turtles.
It's a
Lynn, keep
Ninja
up.
Turtles reference.
Oh,
That's I think the
Radical.
second time we've brought up the Foot Clan that you haven't recognized that reference.
I was
Let's just
like,
keep
I watched
bringing
that
up
when I was,
Ninja
like,
Turtle
super
references
little.
for Lynn's benefit.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to binge Ninja Turtles.
Yes, you are.
Preferably classic stuff.
The new ones are.
I don't know. Brian,
So
Brian
he-
says the new animated is good. But
His voice gets he's starting to lose his cool. He goes, I know you're working for her, and I know that somehow you're connected to the hand. I want to know the names, and I want to know who's hired you. You are playing with things that you should have nothing to do with.
I could almost certainly agree with you on that. That doesn't change the fact that I have any of the information you need.
What are your plans? What are you planning to do? And he actually he gets like really up close in your face.
Well, once I wipe the spit that made it through the bag off of my face, I intend to get out of these bonds, probably knock you out, if not kill you, and then tie up the elven girl behind you. And what I do after that is none of your business.
He stands up and he goes, so we're gonna be doing this the hard way then.
I hope so.
He you hear him stand up and he takes a few steps and he goes, you hear something drag on a table, something
Mhm.
metallic, and you hear this drag, and as that dragging happens, all of a sudden you hear a yell from outside, or outside of whatever the particular area you're in.
Okay.
And you can't make sense of like what's going on. You hear like it's just incomprehensible. And then you hear another yell, and another yell. And Liana says we already said who it was. The who you assume to be Liana says in Elvish to the gentleman, we've been compromised. We need to leave.
Interesting.
And he says, done. And so
So,
he,
since you mentioned that there's I'm getting ahead of myself. You mentioned that I have a scent of, I definitely detect like damp earth. It's a good guess that we're probably at least in a basement, if not underground, right?
you have no idea.
Okay. Do I have any sense through the bag that we might be dependent on torchlight through where we are, or is it too thick to see?
Nope, you can't see.
Okay.
You're completely blinded.
Okay, continue then.
Okay. So he says to her in Elvish, done. And he turns to you and he says in common, he says, looks like you got lucky. And he gives you a kick in the gut.
Ow.
You hear some more yells and what sounds just lots of noises and stuff going on in the back, and you hear footsteps as you assume they have taken off.
Okay.
And so you're sitting there for a little bit. Do you do anything?
Do I hear anything close to resembling a friendly, recognizable voice?
You're not sure. You just know that something's going on and that it scared them off and they're leaving.
Okay.
Or
Did
they
the
left.
Did the kick in the gut knock me over in my little bound chair situation, or am I still
Nope,
upright?
You're still upright.
Okay. But it feels like they've taken off. I'm pretty much on my own.
You hear them taking off, and then you hear some footsteps. Separate footsteps from what you heard of them leaving.
Okay.
And you hear footsteps, and then what sounds like thunk, thunk, thunk. Like someone's kind of trying to beat against something. And finally, you hear a thunk. It sounds like a door has, like, bursted open. And
All right.
you hear footsteps go in and go, where are they?
Well, I think they went that way, and I just kind of like gesture left and then right with my head.
You're not sure who it is. It's a voice that is pretty androgynous, and the person goes, "Are you Jaal?"
Yeah, that's me. Any chance you got a knife handy that isn't out to cut my throat?
Yeah, the person takes off your hood and steps behind, like they're behind you. They take off the hood and they start cutting your ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're now free.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
The person that you see is elven man, young, with bright red hair.
So like 70?
Something like that.
Much younger. He goes, we need to get out here if we can. We need to find the ones that fled. If not, we need to get back to a safe place.
Okay, then. Hang on a second. Do I have anything that can help there?
He's wandering around the room and looking about. And so, Jaal, now you can...
I have a high investigation skill. Would that help in this situation? Or would it be more like tracking that would be useful?
I mean, you can do tracking too. It's up to you what you want to do. Investigation.
I think tracking is actually more of a feat or a feature or trait that I would need. All right, let's do investigation since I know I have that.
Okay.
Let's see. And I rolled a 7.
Okay. You can't see anything, and not the human, the elven man, he looks around and he goes, he swears in Elvish, and he's like, I had one job to do and I couldn't do it. He goes, okay, we need to get out of here and we need to get back to the inn.
No arguments here.
Just good. So he leads you back up, and you're actually in town. You're in a building that is kind of like worn down and probably abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
But you were definitely in a basement, not really well lit or anything. So he leads you back to it's nighttime at this point, and he leads you back to the inn that you guys have been staying at.
Mm-hmm.
You guys go back in through the back entrance, in through the kitchens, and he goes in ahead of you, and he looks in for a second, and he waves you in, and you see Toblin, who's the innkeep, standing in the kitchen, like he's waiting for you guys.
All right.
He goes, Torrance, you did your job. And the elven man that you assume is Torrance,
Mm-hmm.
he goes, I only got it half done. I got him, but I didn't get the ones that left. I couldn't find their tracks either. So we'll need to be keeping an eye out for them. He goes, fair enough, we'll keep note of it. He goes, and so Tobin looks at you. He goes, do you know who got you?
Sadly, I don't know the particular gentleman in question. I do know that the blonde girl I was with here was involved.
Was that the one that you were with the other night?
Yep.
He sighs. He goes, we should have known. He's like, your party left. They left probably about a day ago for the castle.
Great.
I'm not entirely sure if they tried to look for you. Your friend had come to the inn looking for you, and Martha had told her where you were going. And apparently that was not a good thing on our part.
So, with regards to that, what do you know about Martha? It seems like she's involved in this mess too.
I can't speak for Martha or her background. That would be something that only she could do. But I know that she would not cause you harm.
Interesting. The plot thickens. All right.
What did they ask you?
They thought I was working for the Hand, and they wanted to know who hired me.
He has a momentary look of kind of surprise on his face, but it quickly passes. He goes, I see.
They also seem to think I was hired to take on the red. Is it Red Brand Bandits or Red Band?
Red Brand Ruffians.
Red Brand Ruffians. That was it.
He's like, okay, you need to get to the castle. You need to at least tell Martha what's going on.
Fair enough. Got a spare horse, or am I walking this?
Well, they took the wagon, so I know they were going to be slowed by how they would go. You should be able to make it there on foot, in time. Hopefully. I don't know what their plan was. I think they were going to scope it out, but Martha needs to know what happened.
Fair enough. So, what's your involvement in this, though? You don't seem like just an innkeeper.
That is something I'd prefer to keep to myself at this moment.
Lame.
I know it probably doesn't help considering what just happened, but trust me that you're probably better off not knowing certain things.
I mean, they tied me up and were about to torture me. This is pretty much as worse as I can get in as far as being involved.
Well, there are ways to decipher if someone's telling the truth or not, and if you don't know certain information, then you're telling the truth. It's more dangerous if you know what the truth is.
That remains to be
Get to
seen.
the castle. He actually pulls out like a sack of things that you assume is like probably like some food and stuff like that, and he kind of like gruffly gives it to him. He's like, "You got to get to the castle. Martha needs to know."
Ooh, blueberries.
Do you do anything else, or do you take off for the castle?
I'll get going.
Okay. So you take off. You have to camp for like one night, or that night you end up having to camp. Just because your head is still like hurting and stuff. Thankfully, because you're being a ranger and stuff, you kind of know like what was the best situation for camping, and you don't have any issues that night. And then as you continue in, you end up discovering a camp. You discover the wagon. You assume is their wagon. It's pretty well hidden, but again, ranger, woo. You continue on following the tracks to that, and you find what you think is probably the camp that the group was staying at, but they're not there.
Okay.
So you then keep following their tracks to what you think. You finally see the castle in the clearing, which hopefully, like, you should be able to see it on the map that we have up there.
I am notably disappointed that I do not see silhouetted holes in the walls of catapulted goblins.
You'll be happy to hear what you hear.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What you see before you is a very, very old castle. It is very decrepit. Most of the towers have crumbled. It doesn't look great. You follow the path along, still kind of tracking what little bit you can't find too much of evidence of them. Probably because some maybe used a spell or something that made it hard for tracking. But you're able to kind of press forward, and you follow things around, and you come to the north end of the castle, and you see a slight clearing. It's kind of a crumbled wall, but there's a canvas overlay of it. And that would be C on the map. And you follow that in, you start sneaking, and you hear the sounds of fighting. And you go into the hallway, and you follow it around, and you see an open door, and you come to about this point if it'll show up on the map.
Okay.
Did you see the ping?
I did.
Okay, so you see this hallway before you, and you see this open door, and there's no more fighting going on, but you can see the party members.
Hey-o!
We're gonna be right there. We're gonna switch over perspectives now. You guys, throne room crew, you just took out the Goblin King and his pet wolf. Sorry, I keep jumbling.
We knocked a drow so hard she turned into a doppelganger.
Yeah. So the last thing you guys,
Awesome.
Martha, and I believe York were tending to Gundren, who is the northern corner of the map. And Beck and someone else was tying up the drow, and as you guys were tying up the drow, she dropped form and turned into a doppelganger. And that was where we left you guys off.
How mysterious.
And that is how we're going to pick up. So you guys are in this room. Jaal, you're in the outside hallway, and you can see that battle has died down in this area.
So, you guys have been busy.
Jaal.
So you walk in.
Oh, hey, it's the demon guy.
Yeah.
I feel...
You guys remember Jaal, right? From the Bread Brand hideout?
I still feel like I'm meeting these two for the first time, but
Well,
You guys do what you want to do.
I think
we're meeting for the second time for the first time, so
second time for the first time. Oh yeah,
there's a first time for everything.
The drugs are still having an effect. It's still a little weird, even though it's been a day. I kind of sneak over to Beck and I'm like, I'm a little fuzzy on the details. Did you kill Martin in a runway?
No, they. Although they're probably dead somewhere in this castle. To be honest,
Okay.
I'm actually kind of expecting to find them at some point in the castle, dead or captured. But no, they just walked off. We found this big muscly dude over here. He was fighting off two bugbears with his bare fists, and seemed like he'd be a pretty good thing to the party. And this other rock star musician guy, he's a little eccentric, but he's got some sweet spells.
It's an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance. Just an absolute pleasure, sir. Did you say something about drugs? By any chance, something about?
And you can see what they've done to his memory. He was there. That's why I don't touch this stuff.
I'm sorry. Let's get back onto the subject of the drugs. Did you bring any to share with the rest of the class? If not, then it's poor form to go ahead and flaunt it at the rest of us.
This guy kind of reminds me of another Goblin King I've seen. He was pretty good at music too.
Mm-hmm.
Could say that you remind me of the Babe.
What babe?
The Babe with the power.
Power? What power?
Power of voodoo.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
That is clearly not anything that has anything to do with magic in this part of this universe, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's disappointing. Okay, moving on.
So you hear some groans and stuff coming from the northwest corner where Martha and I guess York, you're now standing with the group, and you see Martha like helping up Gundren, and he looks like super rough. And she's trying to help him up, and she goes, "How's it going with that drow?"
Well, it's not a drow. It's a. What are these things called again? Anybody know their names? Would I know that? Would I know that as a person?
Yeah. You and York knew that they were doppelgangers. Or it was a doppelganger.
It's one of those weird doppelgangers.
You see Martha's expression all of a sudden change, and she goes, "Check the left leg. Is there a scar, like a large scar on the left leg?"
Okay, I check her left leg.
There's a huge scar on the left leg that does not look normal.
Whatever does it mean, Martha?
Does that mean we're still in danger?
What's the scar look like? Is it a black spider?
This... No. It's this big, long scar that goes, like up the whole shin.
Ooh,
of
ouch.
The doppelganger. It's a different color than the rest of the doppelganger's skin. Martha, she walks up and she goes, make sure she's bound. Well.
Well, I have some recent experience with this, so.
What exactly does she look like?
Something ugly.
So it's a humanoid appearance, but there's no kind of shape. It's just kind of bluish and gray, and it's just I don't want to say a blob, because it makes out like a humanoid of some sort, but there's no defining features outside the fact that it just doesn't look right. Your you can't seem to find like a specific feature to focus on, with the exception of this scar on the leg.
So does it even have a face?
It does. It's kind of like melted, kind of, so to speak. Like, it's like if someone tried to make a humanoid shape out of melted ice cream.
So Martha, like, she looks down at the doppelganger, and she looks up at you, York, and she goes, "York, you should talk to her."
Her, by the way, would this be Yarno by any chance?
Yarno.
Yes, if you recall, there was a letter that seemed to tie together a few threads.
No, this is not Yarno.
Who's Yarno, you guys? You guys are talking about people that I think you may...
I believe York is speaking of Lord Albrecht, who is the wizard you failed to grab at the hideout.
Well, Martha, you take a step back from that failed to business.
She looks down at York. She goes, "York, you need to question her."
I got really worried about a rat, okay? Gosh.
York nods, and I guess we need to set about reviving the doppelganger. Do we need to roll something for that?
Someone has tied her up well, right?
How about we simply buy ourselves some insurance? Curtis, if you could stand over here, stand menacingly, and just be prepared to lay the smack down.
I can do menacing. I grin. Hold up my sword.
I believe we may have a classic format for interrogation then.
I lower the edge of the blade to the doppelganger's throat. Wake her up. I'm ready.
Are you guys just like keeping her laying down on the ground, or are you going to position her, or?
Keeping her prone sounds like a good idea to me.
Probably.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'll get my poking stick.
Yeah, so we like splash some water on her face or something.
Okay. You splash some water on her face, and she slightly stirs, and not much is happening.
We're gonna need a lot more water to wake up this kind of.
Could always try stepping on a portion of her body.
We got fire.
Can I try rolling medicine to try to stabilize her and wake her up?
Yeah.
You're too nice.
Yeah, you stabilize her.
Wait, what?
While he's administering whatever medicine he is to wake her up, I asked Martha quickly, you might know, dude, you apparently got some familiarity with doppelgangers. Can they turn into any form that can, bust out of this?
She takes a sigh, and she's like, "Well, I haven't had too much experience with them, but I'm pretty sure they can only do things within their size and whatnot, so I wouldn't be too afraid."
Mm-hmm.
So York, you administer enough, aid, and her eyes start to flutter open as she looks around. You see her like blink for a few minutes, and her shape starts to change.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like slap her when she does that. I'm like, "Hello there, my new friends. Now I want you to listen to me extremely carefully. There are a few things we need to get straight right off the bat. The first of which is you will not attempt to transform again, or my friend here," and he motions over to Curtis.
Yep.
"Well, my friend here has a terrible, terrible temper, and I'm afraid that we're going to have to allow him to do whatever he likes if you do that ever again right now."
I tap her chin with the flat of the sword and remark, "He's exaggerating a little bit about the temper. I assure you I am in full control of my emotions, and anything that I do, I'm going to do quite deliberately."
I like blow on my hand and make I produce flame just in my hand. I'm just sitting there. It's going in between my fingers.
York, roll an investigation check with advantage because you're getting help from Curtis.
Okay, so that's...
Or not, I'm sorry, not investigation, intimidation.
Oh, okay.
With advantage.
Okay, intimidation with advantage. Sure.
What'd you roll?
Whoa, that's really weird. Anyway, I rolled a total of 20.
Okay. She looks at you and glares, and she looks at Curtis, and you can see a little bit of fear in her eyes, and she sees Laura in the back with the fire, and you can see that she accepts her fate, and she goes, I was hoping to at least take a form that was a little bit more appealing than my current shape.
You can stay just the way you are.
Wait, what? She's a female?
Yeah, they were fighting a female dark elf originally. So
Oh my.
you don't know this. You just know that they've discovered a doppelganger.
Yeah, no, she gets to stay in her doppelganger form.
Okay.
Bummer.
She Do you say this out loud, Jaal?
Sure, why not?
York, any retort?
Time enough to socialize later, Jaal. For the time being. My friend, what is your name?
Well, first of all, I'm not your friend.
Well, I think you'll find that you'd really rather be my friend than not. I, as you can see, have certain friends who would like to make your acquaintance more thoroughly, and I might be your best friend in the whole world right now.
So what? If I don't answer your questions, you guys are going to kill me? Is that it?
It is really in your best interests to answer my questions thoroughly, completely, and concisely.
Wow, this is also familiar.
She coughs a little bit, and she goes, my name is Varith.
Varith?
Varith.
Varith, gotcha. So it's okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Can I go now? Is that all you wanted?
Yep, that's cool. All right, so
Throw her into the pits!
who hired you?
Wouldn't you like to know? She flashes a grin.
Mm-hmm.
See, I said the same thing when somebody asked me that question.
York glances over and says, I think I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. Why don't you have a little conversation with our friend?
Can I have some coffee too?
Are you implying Curtis, or were you implying someone else?
I was implying Curtis, who I thought was standing menacingly with the sword.
Take a toe off. She doesn't need them all.
Well, seems you've got some connection with the late King Grohl. Do you care to tell us what's up with that?
He's an idiot. That's what he is. Or was, I should say. Seems you guys made good on him.
Yeah, it's pretty evident he's an idiot. You, on the other hand, I can tell you've got a good head on your shoulders and want to keep it that way.
That would be most agreeable.
Why don't you tell us a little more about what your business was specifically with Grohl? What were you doing here in the throne room?
She sighs. She goes, I was here to take the map that he had promised to deliver. But no, he wanted to try to sell it. So, before you rudely disturbed my plans, I was planning to take that map and dispose of the dwarf.
Oh.
If you must know.
Who's the dwarf again?
Gundren Rockseeker.
You hear a cough in the corner. I think she's talking about me.
Oh, what's up, boss?
He nods weakly at you.
Mm-hmm.
You look like crap.
Well, you didn't have to be paid.
That's okay. I already have some money. This is more interesting anyways. Go on.
Okay, yeah. Why did you want off this guy here? I gesture over with my offhand to Gundren.
He served his purpose. The map has been... We procured the map, almost procured the map. There's no reason to keep him alive.
Mm-hmm.
Who was she getting the map for? I whisper to Curtis.
Beck, that's a real good question. Who was she getting the map for? Do you want to ask her that question, or should I?
You see her eyes start to roll back in the back of her head, and she comes back to. I mean, she's, you guys made her stable, but she's still a little bit. And she coughs, and she looks around the room, and you see her eyes all of a sudden focus hard on Martha, and she kind of grins and coughs again weakly. She goes, Martha, didn't expect to see you here. What?
Well, I mean, this is very obvious that you guys know each other because you knew about the scar. Martha, how about you come? Let's be open about these things.
Martha kind of stands and she starts like looking. She's kind of playing with the dagger, like, and she goes, I don't know what she's talking about. And you hear the doppelganger go, "Don't play coy."
I push up with the sword, shutting her mouth. We had a question on the table. Beck, do you care to restate your question?
Goodness, yes.
Good.
Give the boy a little bit of freedom. All right. Who were you procuring this map for?
I ease off the pressure.
I'm more than willing to roll for intimidation if I need to sound more menacing.
She goes, "Before I was so rudely interrupted." She looks up at you, Curtis.
Hey, who's interrupting here? Who made the remark about Martha? Who didn't answer the question? Answer the question.
I'm not talking to anyone but her. I will answer her questions and her questions only.
All right, cut off one of her toes.
Martha steps forward. She goes, "Let me take care of this." She walks up and she grabs the doppelganger by the throat and holds her up.
Pull my sword aside to let her.
She grabs the doppelganger by the throat and slams her up against the wall. You're going to tell me everything, or you're going to die.
You thought I was the bad cop.
You're all the bad cop. I tried to give you the good cop.
Vareth goes, You think I'm afraid of dying? Go ahead." And you hear Martha. She just you see her kind of stretch her neck a little bit, and she starts to slowly slide the doppelganger down on the floor to sit. She goes, "I never said it would be instant. I will make it painful. You will beg for your death and all you will get is pain. And I will prolong it as long as I need. But go ahead, act brave. It's obviously gotten you this far." And she holds up a dagger to the doppelganger.
York takes this opportunity to sort of slide in and say, "All right, thank you very much, Martha. I think she gets the point. Still, if you could just give us just a moment here." And he turns to the doppelganger. "Now, Vareth, what are we going to do with you? Well, you see, you are possessed of certain talents that not many other people have. By certainly virtue of your breeding, but also you have certain other talents that led you here to the throne room of a royal. A goblin royal, yes, but they're proud people and honorable.
How does Lem feel about that?
We would like to hire you for an enormous sum of money. How would 1,000 gold pieces a month sound?"
Martha puts a
budget, by the way.
Yeah. No, I know. Martha puts a hand on your shoulder, York, and she gives you a look of like, this look of just like, I know what I'm doing.
He just kind of shrugs and backs up a little bit.
So Martha has the dagger, something is York and anyone else who is close. Martha, when she was threatening the doppelganger, she did enough with the dagger to start drawing a little bit of blood. And the doppelganger smiles again, And she goes, "So Martha, you thought you could get your pet bard to persuade me? Really? If you're already here, you know that the cat is out of the bag." And Martha just gives a smirk, lifts up what you think is the hand of the doppelganger, and starts slowly pressing the dagger in. And oh, hold on. Varith looks up at Martha and grimaces with pain and spits at her, and she goes, "Fine." And Martha steps back and she looks at the group and she goes, "Ask what you need." And backs up.
Who were you?
Okay,
For?
so
So wait, what was it?
Still curious about where that map was going. Who you're working with?
The map was going to the Black Spider.
Okay.
we've heard some things about this black spider.
Mostly that
But
it's
we're-
black.
And a spider. Although
And a spider.
I have my doubts that it's actually a spider.
Your doubts
It's not
would
a
be
spider,
correct.
is it?
No, your doubts would be correct. It's not a spider.
Mm-hmm. So what exactly is it? Is
That
it
would
a
be-
person?
Is it a person? Is it multiple people? Perhaps that is part of the intrigue of the black spider.
Oh, it's 8 people because there's 8 legs.
How about you give us a straight answer? How does that sound?
We are perhaps an organization. We have interest in the mine that, and she kind of glances over towards Gundren, that he apparently discovered where the location was.
Found a mine. Okay.
Where were you going to take this map?
To those who I work for,
And the map leads to the mine?
it does.
What's in the mine that you're so interested in?
We're not entirely sure that what's all there. It was a mine that long ago it created tons of magical items, and we are looking for perhaps items that could pursue things. We have agendas we would like to settle. And she
How
glares
does-
at Martha.
How does a mine create magical items?
Do I look like a smith to you?
So, well, I mean, a mine creating like wizards, as far as I understand, are the ones who create magical items. Enchanters, not geographic locations, not the formations under the earth.
So, for those who had talked to Sildar, not prior to York and Curtis joining the party, you were told the history of this mine, that long ago there was a pact and there was something with the mine. And I'm saying this in general terms because this is how you guys would kind of remember things at this point, that a long time ago there was a pact with some wizards and there was a pact with some other people, and they worked together and they had a cool smithing thing in this mine and made magical artifacts, and then when the orcs raided this whole region, it destroyed and then it was lost to time. So it was a big deal that Gundren and his family had found this. Because the thing that Sildar is interested in is, if he can help this mine come back into fruition, it's going to help the region of Wellington.
He's got a lot of national pride in Wellington. Big Wellington fan.
Wellington United! Best football team ever!
He's got the shirt. Yeah, so Curtis, apparently there's a forge or something in there. I mean, there were a lot of details. We could probably fill you in later. I feel like that's probably like the littler part about this, because we want to know, where is the black spider?
Okay.
Where actually were you going to deliver it to the Black Spider?
Well, I had an area I was supposed to meet him at. Or, well, not the Black
Freudian slip. We have it. It's a guy.
I was to meet a business associate some distance from here. From there, I believe they were planning to take the map and go to the mine.
Where were you going to meet them?
She thinks, and she's like, there's no name for it. It's just part of this forest.
We could have her lead us to this meeting, have her do the meeting like nothing happened, and we just watch and wait and follow them.
Feels like we would be led into a trap.
Maybe, but if she's with us the whole time, she has no chance to communicate with anybody else.
Your cousin had the question for her. He asks her, what is the ultimate purpose of your organization?
Even I don't know everything that they want to do.
Well, then why'd you sign on with them?
Because it's better than who I was originally working for. And she looks at Martha. You hear Gundren actually speak up, and he's like, "Where are my brothers?" And she kind of like lolls her head over, and she goes, "Oh, wouldn't you like to know where your family is? Wouldn't you?"
Cut off her toe. Somebody do it. Who's got something sharp?
You do it.
You guys do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
I'm gonna take out my hand axe and chop off her toe. I'm tired of this. I'm doing it. I'm rolling it. Roll it. I'm not throwing it though, so don't look at that part. I rolled a 16.
Okay.
Critical toe damage?
What's her toe AC?
I know. I'm actually looking this up. Give me a second.
It's a heck of a hangnail there.
It hits. Roll damage.
-1 toe, please.
You cut off her toe.
Yeah. Critical toe damage. He got a 25.
No, that's not damage. That's not damage.
I screwed up again. All right.
Hold on.
Oh, you screwed up again. Okay.
Wait, hold on. But she was prone and she was restrained, so he should have had advantage.
Advantage. That's true.
Okay, so you do a critical hit.
All right.
Does her toe like go through all the floor?
All right.
So
Stories down.
you cut off her toe, but what you tried to do and do it in like a way that would be painful, you actually did it so hard and fast that like she didn't like she feels the pain delayed. But yeah, she's like bleeding now from it.
And I'm looking down at her feet, and there's like many toes missing, and I'm like, oh Jesus. So answer the question.
She starts breathing heavily, and actually, you did enough damage that she goes unconscious again. Martha goes, I don't think we need to keep her around.
Martha, I have some questions for you. It seems like you
Me too.
had a little bit of a history going on there, and it kind of made it...
Tell you what, while you guys ask Martha her questions, Martha, do you want me to do the honors? I hold up my sword.
How do you all feel? Are you fine with this last being killed? I'm fine with it.
I'm a little concerned how fine you feel with it, Martha. It depends on how she answers these questions, Martha.
By the way, Martha's not likely her real name.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand that. Martha, what's
so
going
she goes,
on?
Oh, so now I'm the one on trial here?
Bet your ass you are.
Considering I just got tied up and accused of working with the hand because of my association with you, I'm kind of curious where this is going to go.
Her expression completely drops, Jaal. What do you mean you were... Who asked you?
Somebody working with Liliana, whatever the elf's name was.
The blonde elf?
Mm-hmm. Whatever her boss is.
She looks down. She goes, I should have known. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we should too.
She looks at you and she says, Jaal, I'm sorry.
What?
And she gives a look at you, York, of like, well, crap.
He just kind of shrugs and says, if you ask me, a lady is entitled to a few secrets.
Not what it's getting us killed.
Has anyone been killed yet?
Very close.
Very well. I can't tell you everything, but what do you want to know?
What is going on?
That's what I'm like, what?
Why don't we start with your association with the Hand? Why is it that people would think that we're working for the Hand because we're working for you?
And what's the Hand?
She gives a very heavy She gives a very heavy sigh, and she goes, I can't tell you everything right now, but what I can tell you is the Hand is typically an organization for the good, and the only people that should know about the Hand, and she looks at York, not in like a way that's like bad or anything, just like, can't believe this is happening.
Do we notice this?
Make a
She's
perception
been looking
check.
a lot at him, so I almost feel like we should get to roll with advantage.
No, you don't get to roll advantage, but everyone who wants to can make a perception check.
I rolled a 17.
I roll a 22.
I rolled a 20.
Jaal.
Jaal, your head
I understand all. My roll of 3 surpasses you.
Seems fine. It just seems fine.
Jaal, your head is still a little foggy, so you're just trying to focus on what's going on here.
But you know what? Martha bought me drinks before, so she's pretty okay.
Dude, she's the best. So everyone else, yeah, she's been looking at York a lot when she's trying to make comments about things. And you also notice that they already established that they knew each other, but there seems to be more going on. Not in like a...
Oh my.
Because I know Dave's favorite thing is to ship Martha with everyone, so... So she looks at York and she goes... And then looks back at you guys and she goes... When it comes to the Hand, the only ones that should know about the Hand are those who work for it and those who are on the bad end of it, meaning they're typically having their life cut short.
Are we working for the Hand? Did that happen?
Somebody thinks so.
Not
Is that
yet.
why we were paid for the red brands?
No, you guys actually did a good thing for that town. And that's one of the things that the Hand tries to take care of, and you guys don't work for the Hand yet. That is a discussion I would like to have later, and not right now, as we're in the middle of a castle with who knows how many other goblins around here.
Listen.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
The goblins here. Listen, and I go over to the dead body. Does the king have a crown? Please say yes. Is he wearing a crown? This is very vital to what I'm about.
And can you please say yes, because I don't want to hear about it for the next 2 weeks. I can't.
It's just a little tiara.
You kind of examine him. You smashed his head in, so if there was a crown, you can't tell anymore. But you do notice that he seems to have some form of a decorative arm bracer of some sort.
Oh my god, can I?
You don't know if that means anything, but it's a cool looking bracer.
Okay,
It's a little rough.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it while I'm talking.
You and looking at it, you probably guessed that maybe it was a crown for a human or something, but it works really well as an arm bracer.
Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna grab that because it looks kind of crown-ish. And I'm gonna say, listen, I don't give a crap about this goblin castle right now because we just killed the king, and you know what? And I kind of flip it up and I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is a crown. Okay, cool. And I slide it on my head and I'm like, I'm the goblin king now. We'll take the rest of this. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about right now is what is happening with you two?
Who are you mentioning? Who are you
Martha?
pointing at as far as you two?
Sorry. In my actual screen, I'm actually pointing at the two of you. York and Martha, I'm like, because we never acknowledged that we noticed that they're staring at each other. We can tell that you guys are looking at each other. We all have eyes, okay? Like, what is happening, you two?
It's a free world. You can look at who we want to look at.
Yeah, but she's looking at you knowingly, and she just said no one knows about the hand unless they work with the hand or they're dead. You're not dead. So...
Sounds reasonable enough to me. I don't see what the problem is here.
How do you know that York and I don't have a history? She just says matter-of-factly.
We don't know. That's what we're trying to get across. Is it just because you guys banged in the past? Is that all it is? Because if that's the truth, then Martha would be staring at 1,000 other men, I'm sure, by this point.
Do you say that?
Suffer.
Yes, because he's just on a rant. And,
Okay.
And York would probably be staring at just about anyone.
He gets
I don't
around.
know what happens around here. I'm not from Wellington. Listen, we're just trying to figure out what's going on. This doppelganger seems to know something about you, specifically, and you're being cagey about it, and I don't like it.
So, for the first, like, you guys have, like, traded jokes and, like, barbs and all this stuff. For the first time, you've actually offended Martha. Like, you see the look of offense. And she,
At what point?
she walks, huh?
At what point?
The implications of, she goes, so she steps over near to York. She goes, well, I suppose any time is as good as any time.
Agreed.
She looks up at you. She goes, I'm not going to explain any more about the organization outside of that. It's something that is, believe it or not, a work of good. That, and she points over at Vareth, is a traitor. She was under my orders to investigate situations that were happening in Wellington. She obviously decided not to do her job and to join the people causing trouble instead.
Why is Wellington such a place of interest? Seems like a pretty, nondescript town.
She sighs and kind of does a face palm. She's like, it's not about Wellington. It's about people. It's about doing things that help people. Wellington has a chance to become something more than it's been. We're not only interested in Wellington. This just happens to be the area that I'm in at this time, and we have people that could do something about it.
Okay, Miss Daredevil. Simple fact remains that we're kind of in the middle of something, and it is starting to get dangerous for us regardless of our involvement with you. So we kind of need to know what the stakes are.
What happened with you, Jaal?
I mean, I pretty much
You said they mentioned the hand. I need to know exactly what happened, how you got to where you were, and how you got out.
Pretty much covered it in the short. In the long, Liliana used some sort of drug on me to knock me out. And I was awakened by a man who I assume is her employer because they were both there together interrogating me. I did not see his face. I only heard his voice because I had a hood over my head and could not see anything in that situation. He threatened to pretty much keep torturing me until I told him who I was working for. And as far as I know, it was Shorty over there. He was not satisfied with that response.
How did you get out?
Some other elf that apparently is working with the innkeeper got me out. Yeah, that's the guy.
She lets out a sigh of relief, and she goes, well, first of all, I'm very sorry for the fact that I didn't keep better tabs on that elf. And she's implying Liliana. The good news is you were rescued by one of my people.
By the way, you need to work on his tracking skills.
He's a new recruit.
Fair enough.
My guess is this is all part. I mean, and we can wake her up and ask her, but my guess is that this is all whoever's part of this Black Spider organization. And if they've got at least one person who's from the Hand, that would explain how they know certain things.
So you're thinking they've got another one of your people?
They've either got another one of my people, or either as a captive, or
Another
someone
turncoat.
else. Someone else is defected. I promise you, I want nothing more than the good for people. And I'm very sorry that you were put at harm's way, but if we can see this out and figure things out and what's going on, perhaps we need to go figure out what's going on at the mine. It sounds like that might be their headquarters. I'm not sure, but I promise I can explain more, but we need to figure out what's going on.
Martha,
Do you guys want to... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I trust you to tell us what we need to know. I'm just saying that. I do.
She nods at you like, thank you. And
I say, I trust your judgment with regard to what we need to do with... I look at the doppelganger.
Chris really wants to kill that doppelganger.
Yeah.
Huh?
York, Martha...
Huh?
York, Martha looks over to you. I mean, at this point, she's kind of standing, like, right next to you, and she goes, I know this is not how we normally do things. And she looks up at you, Beck, and she goes, York also works for me.
York kind of shrugs and nods and says, well, I do lots of odd jobs, but yes, I believe I have done a few things for the Hand. I still don't know too much about them, which is rather troublesome much of the time. But I can honestly say that they've never treated me dishonorably and have never done anything to strike me as being too underhanded.
You guys can... Gosh. You guys can all roll insight checks, by the way. Except for York. York doesn't need to. Oh, jeez.
I got a 2.
I got a 9.
I got a 14.
Nice. Jaal actually got the highest one this time.
I haven't seen it yet. Oh, hey-oh.
So, what did you all roll?
15.
2.
9.
14.
Okay. Jackson and Beck.
It's Jackson. Some kind of god?
Jackson.
Curtis. Sorry.
Send a god a little while ago.
I heard that, Curtis.
Curtis and Beck. Beck, you've traveled, quite a bit with this woman, and she has not seemed to do any ill will to you, and she seems like she's telling you the truth. Like she's, she doesn't mean to do any harm. And Curtis, this person, she's been pretty cool the whole time since, the short period of time.
Just like I said.
Laura and Jaal, Martha and York are telling the truth.
They may be telling the truth, but I'm not convinced that we know what we need to know yet. I think between my incident of getting kidnapped and nearly tortured, and combine that with the fact that one, possibly 2 or more of their own have defected to the other side, begs the question as to what's going on with this organization known as the Hand. If they stand for good, that's all fine and dandy, but something doesn't seem to be going right with them if that's what's happening.
Do you say that out loud?
Yep.
And Martha goes, I completely agree. Something is going on, and I need to know what's going on.
And I'm not saying that I'm the squeakiest clean of all of these things, but I have to say that in all of my dealings with the people I work with, the most secretive are always the more secrets there are, the worse off everyone is.
She shrugs and she goes, fair enough. I've told you what I can tell you now. I can tell you more after we figure out what's going on. I need to know what's been compromised here. And obviously there's something I did wrong on my end that members of your party were put at risk. And she nods towards Jaal. That should have never happened.
Fair enough.
I can only apologize so much. I can only tell you guys what I've told you. I promise you that when we figure out what's going on here, figure out what's going on with this Black Spider group and whatnot, I will tell you everything that you guys need to know.
So what do we do now, guys?
I think the only thing we can do is go to this meeting, see who shows up.
And Lem, you hear Lem, who's been quiet this whole time. Lem goes, she sighs, she goes, well, what about the castle?
We still have goblins around.
Well, we can sneak out of here. They haven't noticed us yet. And, and she looks up at Martha, and Martha nods, and she goes, I don't know if this really helps you all at all with your decisions regarding those two, nodding at York and Martha. She goes, but I can also vouch for them.
The goblin's a spy too! Whoa!
Okay, well, I just casually adjust my crown. Okay. Number one, Martha, I apologize if I offended you. This is getting crazy. There's far too many secrets that I'm comfortable with. Got a little crazy.
She nods.
As they say, power corrupts.
I start trying to throw small pebbles into Beck's crown from distance. Just
stop. Jaal.
Make a dex roll.
Which one?
Jaal.
Alrighty.
Please do.
Gosh, it takes so long to get to the character sheet.
I know, I'm sorry. You try to throw and you hit him in the face instead.
Oh, perfect.
Jaal,
I'm okay with this.
Jaal, stop. I'm trying to talk here. Lem, just thinking about like what all Lem and I saw of the castle. Lem, do you think the other goblins would listen to the people that defeated their king?
She leans back against the wall and crosses her arms and thinks, and she goes, well, when we were in the cave, it wasn't you who did the convincing.
Very true.
You had your paladin, but we know that I can pretend to be a god. Well, she goes, I can pretend to be a simple-minded goblin. And she jokingly for a few seconds she goes, because, I know how to talk like the others that you convinced.
Sounded just like Ted.
She shakes her head. She's like, she shakes her head. She goes, it's awful to say. And she looks at York and she goes, he is good with his charisma, so that can be used.
Cha-ching.
Just so. As a matter of fact, I believe I have a red cape that I could don now. He puts it on. So he transforms his face. Now, I reckon I may be one of the last red brands that there's left around here. Now, there's some changes coming down here in Cragmaw Castle. We're going to need to be real on point right now. And we're going to need to come in for these performance evaluations one at a time to talk to the king. Or, in this case, actually the queen. He looks over at Lem and raises an eyebrow.
And I also take off my crown. I'm like,
I am completely fooled by his impression. I rolled a 5 on perception. I even felt like I had to draw a weapon for a second. I was like, there's another bandit in here.
Lem looks at you quizzically, not York / York, and she goes,
Are we not going to do the half orc? You want me to be the queen in this situation?
Don't you think you could run this?
I don't want to be here. This is not my employment. Did you not take my heavy hint I gave you?
Now you listen here. Now look. Every person comes to a point in their life when they come to a crossroads. You can do what makes you happy, or you can do something of meaning. No, I quite apologize. It's carried away with the role, you know. All I'm saying is that it would be very beneficial to all of us if you could perhaps right the course of these wayward goblins.
Can I have your autograph?
Of course. Actually, a pen here. I take one of my 5 pieces of paper that I have.
If you could make it out to Wellington Marketplace.
Of course. Wellington Market. My best. York. Of course. Here you are.
Awesome. Thank you.
Lem just is like, looks at Martha like, is this what you want me to do? And Martha goes, well, it doesn't have to be a permanent situation, but it might help a little bit. And Lem's like, can't we just find one of the other Nimrods around here to pretend to be the king, or at least make them king? Can't we just do that?
Lem, the only
Does it have to be me?
Lem, the only problem is that you're the only one that we trust.
Just so.
Can't we just kill everyone?
Oh, we'll kill some of them. I'm sure not everybody's going to like our proposition here, but...
Couldn't we just set up a room and then we'll lure them in and then we could just kill them? Then I don't have to be sitting here being bored, dealing with... And she shakes her head and she goes, this!
I mean, frankly, you don't have to live in the castle. I mean, I've heard of a...
He wants me to be the queen!
I've heard of a nation that has a leader that barely lives in the castle.
She doesn't want to be queen. She's not gonna be queen. Okay? I mean, I like the general scope of this plan. I like the general direction it's going. I mean, if it does involve any deception, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I can't lie to save my life. But I like the whole idea. Just, she's obviously, she's not the one to lead it. She doesn't want to. Okay?
It's fine. If she didn't want to, that's okay. I'm just trying to...
Lem goes...
Thought she would do a good job, that's all.
Lem looks at you and she goes, I appreciate that. I'm fine doing something for deception. The thing is that there's a hierarchy here. And goblins, if you notice, and she gestures at the corpse of Grohl, she goes, if you notice, he wasn't a goblin. He was a hobgoblin. He was a bugbear, which...
I think he was a bugbear.
Oh, he was a bugbear. He was a bugbear. She goes, he was a bugbear. There's a hierarchy. The goblins are not treated well. Now, there is a chance that we could use the advantage and say I'm the queen or whatever, and maybe if we can get to the rooms where the goblins are in, rally them. But more than likely, if we come across any hobgoblins or bugbears, and she's like listing off things, she goes, they're not going to listen to a goblin queen. They wouldn't listen to a goblin king.
Would they listen to a half-orc goblin king?
It's possible if we come around dragging King Grohl's body.
Now, I like
power.
this. Straightforward. Simple.
They respect power.
Above board.
All right. Well, let's see who wants to join our cause of welcoming some goblins into the honest life of not, killing people all the time. And we'll say we have won the we've won the title. I got the crown, and if anybody says no, well, kill those guys, and then we'll keep the good ones.
And Lem nods and she goes, I think we try to convince who we can, and we kill those who we can't.
Agreed.
She looks at Martha, and Martha looks at the doppelganger. She goes, what are we doing with her?
Well, I don't think there's any convincing with her. So that leaves us really only one other option.
Are we all in agreement? Are you okay with me doing this?
I think we should find out what she was going to present herself as when she met the person to give the map.
That's a good idea. We still don't know
So how
where the
about this?
meeting was going to be.
Where the meeting is and who she was going to be.
So how about we do this? How about we tie her up, we gag her, we bound her real good, and we have Luna watch her.
Luna.
Okay.
That?
I'm concerned that we're gonna get, someone's gonna walk in here anytime, and what are we gonna do then?
Kill them? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I feel like we would all be pretty braggy after the last battle. Sorry.
I think we need to find out where the meeting was going to be, and then we can meet down with her.
Okay.
I like this plan.
Okay, so you guys rousing her again?
Okay, so I have a medicine.
Yeah, you guys can make a medicine roll.
Oh. I rolled a 6.
Wait for it. Yes.
Between the two of you guys, you got her enough that she's coming through. She's really groggy though, because she's kind of lost a bit of blood.
It's supposed to bleed more when you bandage it,
So
right?
she comes to, and again she tries to shift form. Is anyone going to stop her again, or are you going to let her shift her form?
Let her shift.
I let it happen for a second.
So she turns and she's fluttering her eyes, and you see her shape shift, and she shifts back into the dark elf.
Okay.
Oh.
So, I say, is this the form you were going to use to deliver the map?
Hello, shape-shifting nurse.
Missing a foot.
She yeah, I mean
Bleeding out on the ground.
yeah. She's very groggy and she goes, yes, this was the form I was gonna take.
So I put a dagger to her face and I say in Elvish, where was the meeting?
And she thinks for a moment. She's like, it's gonna be about. She starts to droop a little bit, and she steadies herself, and she's like, it's gonna be 10 miles east of here. There's a tree that's oddly shaped. And she shakes her head again, like she's having a hard time keeping concentration.
What kind of shape?
It was an old oak tree, and it had. She's trying to think, and there was something weird. It was shaped like a heart, or maybe it was split. I promise. I'm just trying. I'm having trouble remembering. She's breathing very hard.
Is this tree technically a part of the forests in the area?
Yeah, we're 10 miles east would still be part of the thicket woods.
Would Martha or York or any of the people that have been in Wellington know of what does any of it make sense to them?
No, the Wellington's south of where you guys are at right now in the thicket woods, so York, you wouldn't have been there. Martha, she looks down and shakes her head. She goes, it doesn't sound familiar to me.
Okay.
She goes, you go from north of the castle, you go 10 miles east, and somewhere around there's an oak tree. You're supposed to meet there whenever I grab the map.
Where is the map?
The the idiot had it. She's a Grull. And you see Martha kind of kick around Grull, and she looks around, and she doesn't see it on him, and she looks around again, and she pulls something out of out from under the throne, and it's this long cylinder, and she pops it open, and she pulls out a piece of paper and opens it up, and sure enough, it's a map, and she goes, well, this is the map apparently, and I don't think we need to meet that person unless we want to go kill them. And she rolls it back up and stuffs it back in, and she hands the map. She hands the map to Gundren.
You might be able to learn something from the person she's going to meet, or was.
She goes, "Whatever you guys want to do. We either gotta figure out what we're doing here in the castle, or we leave."
I think it's a wasted opportunity to let a known associate of your enemies get away.
Agreed.
That's a good point.
She nods and she goes, "That's a good point."
It is, isn't it?
It's a good point.
That's a good point, Jaal. Jeez.
This is also a good point. She holds up an arrow.
So I'm still holding the dagger at her face, like at her throat, and so I look over at Curtis and I say, "Curtis, would you like to do the honors?"
Here, wait. When was the meeting?
Don't kill her.
Ease off a little, Laura. Does anyone have any further questions for Verith here?
And you see all of a sudden, like, panic, like, get on her face, and she goes, "Wait a minute. And she's just stammering because she's still, like, just out of it and stuff.
When was the meeting gonna happen?
Whenever I showed up.
They just know you come? How do they know you come?
I don't know. I'm not them. I was just told. I was just told to show up when I got it.
York turns to Martha and says, perhaps an alternative. Could the Hand not send other representatives to this meeting place?
And she looks and she goes, we can't trust anyone right now. We don't know who was compromised."
Okay.
And she gives you a hard look, York, too, like she may be wondering about you too.
Oh boy.
Romance is in the air.
That doesn't seem to bother York. He's used to it.
I don't know, you guys. I'm kind of getting second thoughts about killing this person that is the only person that knows who these people are.
Agreed.
If all else fails, we could, like, I don't know, like, dangle her from a tree or something.
I was thinking hanging her from the castle walls or parapets if any of them are in good enough shape. You know.
So Martha pipes in. She goes, "So should we tie her up, keep her guarded, we take care of the castle, and then we go from there?"
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
We will leave her in suspense.
I kneel down to... Wait, is Verith sitting?
Yeah, she's been now, because Martha, like, shoved her against the wall, but she's now sitting with her back against the wall.
I kneel down. Verith, you've been very helpful, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to say that.
And then you knock her out.
It's a good idea to continue to be helpful, I say, and grin. And then I stand up. Okay, so who's guarding her?
So you didn't knock her out?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Martha walks up and conks her on the head.
Excellent. Laura, how do you feel about Luna guarding?
She'd be good at that.
Martha's tying her up, like, even more, and, like, just all sorts of stuff.
Luna's a wolf, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Martha starts tying her up, and she gets some pretty good knots going, and she ends up, like, she's put the doppelganger drops her form, so Verith drops her form again. And so Martha had turned her over and had her face down and was, essentially hog-tying her almost. And, gets her all nice and tied up, and she ends up, like, grabbing the rope, kind of like a suitcase in a sense, and, like, drags Verith over to the north corner, kind of where Gundren was, and just, like, drops her hard and puts her up there.
All right, then.
All good things.
Shall we?
Think we shall.
Your Majesty.
A bagua.
Let's get this party going.
All right.
And Martha takes a swig from her flask. And that is where we're going to end for tonight. York, would you like to take the honors of reading one of the reviews we got on iTunes?
All right, I'll I guess take the more recent one then. And am I reading this as York? Is that what's happening here?
Yep.
You
I
should.
think that's definitely the most fun thing.
Absolutely, the fourth wall is for losers. A good show full of good-looking people, by Paul Graves. At first I thought, a D&D show? Why would I listen to one when I could play the game? Then I remembered I don't play the game. So I gave them a chance, and boy, am I glad I did. Full of adventure and whimsical humor, the show lets your imagination and libido run wild.
Oh my.
Thank you for the review.
Please,
Thanks for the review.
please
The
post
sexy review.
Please post reviews. We will read them on the podcast, potentially edited depending on how bad they get. But please review us on iTunes. It helps. It's great.
So, thank you for joining us for another episode of Awful Good. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Awful Good Crew. And subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your good podcast. You can also watch our show on YouTube. Find out more information on our website at awfulgoodcrew.com. You can find me at 6 Color Stories on Twitter and Instagram. That is with the numeral 6. Mary, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at The Mary Russell.
Rob, where can we find you?
You can find me at the Crossroads at midnight under the full moon. Only if you believe.
Excellent. And Jackson?
Can we please switch the order? That is always a hard act to follow. Like his nothing dwarfs our everything. Just eclipses it. Gosh dang. Oh, you can find me at chocolatebook.net, where every weekday I blog about the Bible and eat chocolate, and it's a good time. And you can find me on Twitter, Jackson Farrell.
Woo! And Brian.
This is a disaster. You can find me at The Underfold, and you can read my webcomics on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you can find it, and on my website.
Awesome. And Dave.
Hi there. You can find me doing not much of anything at Nerds of the Hawk on Twitch and various other things.
So thank you guys for joining us, and happy gaming.
Here's a story of a lovely podcast that was adventuring when someone lost their cam.
She's totally gone. She left.
Continue.
The DM has left the party. We take the castle and claim it. It's now the Awful Good Castle and headquarters. That's
freedom.
That's all canon. She's not here to say no. So
I ascend to godhood.
Okay, so what did you guys do while I was gone?
We claimed.
Took over the castle. Everything's fine.
Okay.
Jackson also ascended to God.
I mean,
I don't think that has any bearing on Curtis.
Absolutely. Me. Oh, now brown cow.
Thank you, and happy gaming.
Hey.
Oh,
Have we gotten any?
No, we have not gotten any Axiom Verge fan fiction. Hooray.
I've left all of your requests in the podcast. So when we hit that one fan that knows what you're talking about.
In the meantime, if you want to draw a fan fiction of our group running into Rick and Morty or having Rick and Morty in the background at various places, that would be fantastic because I'm a huge fan of that show.